Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on Stargirl, and this will be my review and breakdown for Stargirl Season 1, Episode 9, otherwise titled Brainwave. But before I get into the review and breakdown, however, you guys don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. And obviously, spoiler alert in case you guys haven't caught up with Stargirl this season or haven't watched this episode, you have been warned, as I'll be heading into spoilers since I'll be breaking down the episode bit by bit as I give you guys my overall thoughts on it. But anyways, so this episode kicks off with a flashback decades ago, and it starts off with Henry Sr.'s lab, and we have him having these brainwave headaches that we've seen Henry Jr. have. So this is pretty much the first time he taps into his powers, I'm guessing. But Henry Sr. then gets robbed when he's trying to go to his car. But one really cool thing that happens is that Henry actually uses telekinesis to take the gun off the robber, which obviously left the robber shocked. And after using the telekinesis to get rid of the gun, Henry then gives the robber a seizure. So yeah, pretty dark, but it was really cool seeing that as well. But one thing we also see in the start of this episode is that Henry Sr. is documenting his experiences with these brainwave powers in a tape. So yeah, this plays a massive part within this episode. But we then cut to Henry Jr. in the house, and he starts using those tapes that his father left. So this is to obviously guide him to using his powers. Now, one thing we also find out is that Henry Sr. actually tested these stuff on himself because he wasn't allowed to test it on other things, and he did this to himself so he could expand the brain, and this is what actually results to him having those brainwave powers. But we do then cut to Courtney and Pat in their basement, and Courtney suggests to Pat that she recruits Henry because he's obviously a useful person since he could read minds. So this would mean it'll be a lot easier to uncover who the ISA members are. So despite the nasty things he's done, he'd be pretty useful for the team. But Pat knows that the ISA are up to something really dangerous due to the fact that Dragon King is working with them, and he's always up to nasty stuff and wouldn't go to Blue Valley so they could just live a normal life. And as I said, with the fact that Dragon King, a really dangerous person, is working with the ISA, it shows that they have something planned. But as I said in my janitor video, we got the reveal that Pat was also part of the 7 Soldiers of Victory before he joined the JSA, and he was with Starman again. So we do see this photo of them, and we see Shining Knight, who's obviously the janitor, as I said, and it was pretty sick. But we do also see more characters such as Green Arrow, Speedy, the Vigilante, Wing, and the Crimson Avenger. So yeah, it was pretty cool having those Easter eggs of the 7 Soldiers of Victory. But we find out that while these 7 soldiers were against someone, Pat actually loses in touch with these 7 soldiers, so he hasn't seen them ever since, besides Starman. But one thing that's pretty weird is that, as you can see in this photo is really old for it to be black and white, which leads me to believe that Pat, Shining Knight, and Starman actually got lost in time and got thrown into the future, which would explain how they look the same as they did on that photo. So I won't be surprised if they did something like that, because they do need to explain that. And we do then cut to Janitor Justin, and he looks at his mop and he starts acting weird. But then we see his mop turn into the cosmic staff. So I have no idea what's happening over here, but it was pretty cool to see, and I am interested for his episode, which I think is supposed to be episode 11. But we do then head to Cindy Berman, and she's no longer part of Blue Valley High, which is the school, and she's actually locked up in Dragon King's lair. But we do obviously find out that Dragon King is after Henry Jr. now, to power the thing that they want for Project New America. But I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Dragon King does tinker with his daughter again to make her more evil than she already is. But we do then have Henry Jr. binging most of his father's videos, but this time he learned how to levitate objects. Not just one, but he learned how to levitate multiple objects, and it was just so sick seeing that. But we do then have Courtney proposing this idea to the JSA, in which Beth is for Henry being part of the new JSA. However, Rick and Yolanda are against the fact that Brainwave should be part of the JSA. So there is some tension over there between the new JSA. But we do then cut back to Brainwave Jr. and in the final video he finds out that once you kill people, those headaches seem to go away, and that deep down some humans are monsters. So Henry's obviously feeling that way as well, due to the fact that he's reading loads of minds and they all have such negativity within them, that this leads to Henry like agreeing with what his father is saying. But we then have the maid come in and she trash talks in her head about Henry Sr., in which Henry Jr. is able to read her mind, and I thought something bad was going to happen, but luckily nothing does. But after that we cut to the ISA in their area, and we have Dragon King mentioning that their new project will be done within a week, thanks to Brainwave Jr. having access to the Brainwave powers. Now we do have Jordan in his office closing some files with the people that he's obviously dealt with, but he just doesn't feel relieved even when killing those people. So I am very interested to see how this goes, and would this drive Jordan to becoming more evil later on. But we have Barbara noticing that Jordan is feeling down a bit, so he gets invited to dinner in their house. But next we have Henry Jr. trying to talk to his father, because he hears voices of his father in his head, but he encounters Courtney in the hospital, and those two have a great talk. Now Henry is able to read Courtney's mind, and he finds out that it was her that put his dad into this state. So Courtney accidentally let that slip, and let's just say that didn't go pretty well. But Courtney is obviously trying to recruit Henry up because he is useful with his telekinesis powers. And she does convince him that deep down there are great people within bad people sometimes. And there are great things that some people could do basically. And she leaves it up to Henry to decide what he wants to do. But yeah, as I said, this was a really, really great talk. But one of the more shocking moments was that this led to Yolanda grabbing Henry, and she actually threatens him to stay away from Courtney. So this makes the relationship between them even worse. So would this repel Henry from joining the new JSA? I don't know, but I guess we just have to wait and see. Now we have Pat telling Beth and Rick to go over some books to find out about this underground area in Blue Valley, and they find out about this underground area made in the 1800s by the other founding fathers. So yeah, this explained why the ISA would choose that area to do their operations in, because it's obviously secretive and no one could find out about this underground tunnel within Blue Valley. But we do then cut to the dinner time with Jordan and his family. So they join Pat's family in having dinner, and they are having a nice chat together. But Pat was getting suspicious about the way Jordan is almost acting towards his own wife. But Jordan asks for more food because apparently it tasted really, really good. But Mike takes the final leftovers, which was pretty hilarious. But we then have this big WTF moment with Courtney bringing more food from the oven, straight from the oven. And when Courtney actually touches that, she burns her hand, so she has to go take gloves and take it out like that. But when she hands it over, Jordan just takes it with his own bare hands without any issue whatsoever. So that was just such a great reveal to Courtney, with the fact that Jordan could potentially be Icicle. But as I said, the reaction that Courtney had was just great. But Pat obviously does believe Courtney with the explanation that she gave about what happened. So yeah, this was a pretty scary moment for them, because like a villain that's killed loads of people was literally in their house. But the worst part to this was that Jordan obviously works with Barbara. So I'm very interested to see how this will go on. But when Pat and Courtney are in the basement, Barbara walks in and she finds Courtney with the cosmic staff. So yeah, things won't go very well next episode, and I just cannot wait for those three to talk about this thing that they're doing. But the ending of this episode, now we get slapped with multiple shocking endings, and the first one being Henry Jr. in the hospital and he meets with Henry Sr.'s lawyer, and he's pretty much a scammer just wanting money. And Henry reads his mind, so he finds out that this man is actually a scammer, and this like pisses him off so much. He just uses his brainwave powers and accidentally kills the man, which was a big holy crap moment. But a moment even bigger than that was the death of this lawyer led to Henry Sr., aka the original Brainwave, waking up, which was such a big shock, because now the JSA are screwed, because obviously Henry Sr. knows who Stargirl is. And when he tells that to the ISA, oh my god, things are just gonna get intense. So for me at least, I think they'll balance it out and make Brainwave Jr. join the JSA, and Brainwave Sr. will remain in the ISA, so they have that balance between the telepathic powers. So if that is the case, then I cannot wait to see how they'll do that. But overall, it was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it, especially with those endings we got slapped with. It really brought the score up for me. And like, none of these Stargirl episodes have been bad. They've all been really good and just really interesting. This show is absolutely amazing, and I'll give this episode an 8.7 out of 10, and I just can't wait for next episode. But yeah guys, this is pretty much it for this video. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought about this episode. Yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.